Hey guys, welcome in. It's Marcy here, ready for 30 books in 30 weeks. And we are in week 7, and we have been working out of my my favorite book of all time. It's called Loving What Is, and it is the definitive guide on learning how to stop fighting reality and accepting things as they are. That does not mean that you can't want more. What's going on, Gregory? How you doing, sweetie? It doesn't mean that you can't want more. It doesn't mean that you can't want better. For those of you who follow me, you know that I always say, when you know better is possible, then do better. Strive to be better. Strive to become better. And so accepting reality for what it is just means to stop trying to make it be something that it's not. Accept how it is for what it is, and then decide if it works for you or not. That really is the gist of how this whole thing works. And unfortunately, for a lot of people, that's a really uncomfortable place for them to be in. So as you come in, share this video out. This book is a game changer. It was literally a lifesaver for me. It taught me so much about how to manage my own thinking and my own thought processes as it relates to other people and other people's behavior. And so in doing so, I was able to learn to let a whole lot of stuff just roll off and realize, number one, it's just not quite that serious. And number two, I have a choice. I don't have to be in relation with someone that I don't like. I don't have to be in relation with someone I don't respect. So invite some people in. We're going to get into the process tonight. We've been leading up to it all week long, talking about these 4 questions that you ask yourself. Last night we talked about the worksheet, your neighbor worksheet that you're doing. Tonight we're going to actually get into the heart of the matter and learning to decipher what really is reality versus what is how you think about reality, or what your feelings are about the reality of the situation. So, hey, Sakira, what's going on, girl? Hey, Brenda. Thanks for joining me in here, guys. So, for those of you who don't already know who I am, my name is Marcy Batiste. I'm a public speaker, I'm an author, and I'm a success and recovery trainer. I'm known for 3 things. Number 1, I always live life on Mars. Number 2, I am sold out to my happiness. And number 3, my favorite thing in the whole wide world is to work with women and help them discover and embrace what I call their star power. And so that's what excites me. That's what lifts me up. That's what keeps me going. Is my clients and the work that I do. I also have a training company called Bankable Success Advisors, where we specialize in working with businesses and individuals. Hey, Donnell. Businesses and individuals to help them optimize their personal and professional investments to yield the best return possible in the least amount of time. And so on the business side, I do workplace and domestic violence education and training, as well as disaster contingency. And then on the personal side, I really work with individuals, men and women, on how to cure emotional bankruptcy. And this particular book, you guys, when I tell you, this particular book was such a lifesaver for me as far as being able to cure that emotional bankruptcy, being able to not own other people's stuff and not mind other people's business. And that's what we talked about last night was, are you minding your business, my business, or God's business? Those are the only kind of business they are. If you have to ask the question why, that should tell you it's not your business that you mind, and you minding somebody else's business. You need to bring it back, circle back to you, focus on what you can control. If it's completely out of your control, it's out of their control. That means you tending to God's business, and He got this. I'm sure He can handle His. And so really focusing on one of the things that living life on Mars is always about. My world, my life, my rules. That means I focus on me. I worry about me. Being sold out to my happiness. I worry about me. I focus on what I can do about a situation. I don't focus about what other people do. I don't try and change other people. I don't try and explain other people's behavior. I don't try and explain strange things that happen, the strange things that they do, the stuff that just doesn't make sense. You know why it doesn't make sense to me? Because it's not my business. I mind my business. If I mind my business is always going to make sense to me. My business might not make sense to you, but it doesn't have to. So how that exchange works is when I'm minding my business and not your business, the only concern that I have is, does your business impact me in a way that I either like or don't like? And then I get to choose, do I want to be in relation with you or not? And if I choose to be in relation with you and your behavior isn't in alignment with what I desire to have in my circle and have in my space, then I can set some boundaries. We can have a conversation. I can give you an opportunity for us to dialogue, and then we can try and come to terms on what the relationship is going to look like. And remember, you guys, when I talk about relationships, I'm talking about personal, professional, intimate, family, whole 9 yards. That's all forms of relationships, just at varying degrees. But this concept is applicable across all boundaries. So I want you guys to really get this. So let's get into the heart of the matter tonight, which is the 4 questions that saved my life. The 4 questions that helped me to learn to mind my own business. Mind my business. That's it. So the first question is it true? So let's say you're talking to someone and you have the thought in your mind, they're not listening to you while you're talking. So the first question is it true? Are they really not listening? And when you really want to be honest about it, then the truth is going to come to you, and your truth is going to surprise you, because what happens, so in this instance, let's use the example of he's not listening to me. And I ask myself, is that true? Truth would say, for a fact, he's not listening to me. Reality, and the fact that it's a thought and not a reality, says, I think he's not listening to me. I feel as if he's not listening to me. Honestly, I don't know if he is or not. He doesn't appear to be. So that's how the first question works. Is it true? Second question is, can you absolutely know for a fact that it's true? And remember, in order for something to be absolute, it can't be anything else. There are no other options. There are no other alternatives. If you say absolutely something is true, there's no other possibilities, no other options, no other outcomes, no other facts. It's absolute. So when you say, can I absolutely know that this is true, that he's not listening to me? The fact of the matter, if I'm honest with myself about it, is no, I cannot absolutely say that. And I can't absolutely say that because I know for a fact there have been times when I've been listening to people and they say, did you hear what I said? Are you listening to me? And I'm like, yeah, I'm listening. And I can recite everything they just said. So I was listening, but to them it appeared, for whatever reason, if I'm multitasking, I'm typing, whatever, when I was a manager, that was huge. I was always multitasking, doing other things. And people would say, are you listening to me? So something like that. And this is a perfect example of that, where when you just ask those first 2 questions, is it true? And can I know that it's absolutely, positively true? Like, how do I know, how can I be sure that it's absolute? Again, most times you can't. And so that tells you that this is not an absolute. This is not reality. This is a thought. It's a feeling. It's my interpretation of the situation. It's not necessarily reality, because if it were reality, I would be able to tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt, this is a fact. This individual is not listening to me. Now, you can't even say that when somebody else is talking while you're talking. You can assume it. It can feel like they're not listening, but it's not an absolute. It's not an absolute. And so you have to be honest about that. You know, it is possible to do other things while you're listening. It's possible to listen to, some of you might be listening to me and doing something else while the The video's playing. It doesn't mean you're not listening. It means you might not be looking at me. My kids were famous for that. They'd be saying something to me and I'm doing it. I'm looking whatever. I'm not staring dead at them. They'd be like, Mom, 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 Mama. I'm like, what? Are you listening? Yes, I'm listening. So that's just an example. Is it true is the first question on the first part of the inquiry. Can you absolutely know for a fact that it's true? The third question is, how do you react when you think that thought? Because unless you can say in step number 2, question number 2, beyond a shadow of a doubt, this is a fact, then it's a thought. And how do you feel when you think that thought? Oftentimes what happens is those thoughts make us feel some kind of way. When you hear somebody say, oh, I was in my feelings, you was in your feelings. You wasn't in your facts. Live and reside in your facts. Live and reside in reality. Mind your business. Mind your business. But how do you feel? Like, what is the reaction? What is the, is it something that makes your blood pump? Is it something that makes you angry? Is it something that makes you hurt? How do you react? What's your behavior like? What's your mood like? Because it's tied to that thought. It's in fact not tied to the situation, which was the original thing. When you take it all the way back, was he's not listening to me. It can't be about that because you have no proof that he's not listening. You have a thought, you have a feeling that they're not listening. You don't know that for true. And this is where everybody gets caught up. We state things as if they're factual and absolute, and they're not absolute. But we haven't taken the time to do the inquiry. Are you guys tracking with me? You see why this is a freaking game changer? When you learn these steps and you get to a point where you can process information that quick. When I was first learning how to do this, I shared on the video last night. Like, it would take me forever. I'd be like, okay, is it true? How do I know for a fact that it's true? Is it absolute? Is it absolutely true? Nope, it's not absolutely true. Okay, so that means it's a thought. If it's a thought, how do I feel when I think that thought? Then the fourth question is, how would you be without that thought? If that thought had never entered your mind, if you'd never had the feeling or the inkling that he or she isn't listening to you, would your heart rate have still jumped up? Would your attitude have changed? Would your mood have changed? Would you be lumping into depression? What would be different? Like, what would you be without that thought? Imagine if you had never thought that thought. Imagine if you'd never had all of the accompanying emotions. And then realize and understand that that thinking that thought was a choice. And therefore, if it's a choice, you can unthink the thought and you can assign something different to it. So when you guys hear me talk about reframing stories and reframing, more importantly, your attachment to the story, that's what this is about. This is how we arrive at being able to reattach yourself to a story or to detach from it completely. Because you have to operate in a space that is reality based. You can't operate in the what ifs, the thoughts, the feelings, the woulda, shoulda, couldas. Like I was saying last night, your business, my business, and God's business. That's the only thing there is. And the only one that you have control over is my business. Your own business. That's all you can control is your own business. You can't control your neighbor's business. You can't control your spouse's business. You can't control even your children's business once they reach a certain age. You understand? And so really asking these 4 questions in a quick fire sequence, when somebody pisses you off, when something makes you feel some kind of way, I want you to really try this. Ask these 4 questions. Is it true? Do I know for absolute that it's true? And how do I know that? Because I'm telling you, once you get to that one, first one, you might be able to skim by and say, yeah, it's true, they're not listening. The second one, how is it absolute and how do I know that it's absolute? You 9 out of 10 times going to have to admit right there at step number 2 This is not reality. This is a thought. This is a feeling. It's an emotion, and it's within my control, which means if it's a problem, it's not their problem. It's my problem, because it's my business. That means it's my problem to solve, my problem to correct, my choice, my opportunity. It's all about me. Y'all hear me say all the time, it's always about me. Live life on Mars. It's Mars world. It's always about me. And this is why it's always about me, because if I start thinking in a realm that allows everything to be about someone else, I lose all self-ownership and I lose all personal responsibility. Once I lose personal responsibility, I'm giving up my power. You understand? Does that make sense? Y'all, are you? I'm telling you guys, this is like my favorite book ever. And so tomorrow night we're going to take and we're going to put these 4 steps together. So you've got, is it true? How do I know to be true? Can I absolutely say for sure that it's true? How do I feel when I think that thought? If it's not true, it's a thought. So how do I feel when I think that thought? And the 4th one is what am I without that thought? How would I be? How much different would my life be? How much would I change? How much could I change if I chose to stop thinking that thought? And it is a choice. So the next time you decide that you want to ask why, I challenge you to inquire instead. Ask yourself these 4 questions about whatever it is that's got you in your feelings, got you feeling emotional, got you feeling outraged. Ask yourself these 4 questions. Is it true? Can I be sure that it's true? Absolutely, positively, without a doubt, no compromise, 100% fact. And if not, how do I feel when I think that thought, and what would I look like without that thought? Understanding that every thought that we have is a choice based on our own decisions. Okay, so mind your business. Think about this inquiry process as you guys are going through the next 24 hours or whatever. I'm going to come back tomorrow night. We're going to add the final step to this process, and that is the turnaround. And the turnaround is tough. The turnaround is tough because even though you can get through the whole minding my business versus minding your business or God's business, that turnaround is tough. And the turnaround is tough because every thought and every feeling that you have about your neighbor, your spouse, your whatever, if you have a negative thoughts and you and your feelings about something, turn it around, because it's probably about you. Everything's always about you. It's your world. Live in it, but live in a reality-based world. All right, so I'm going to come back tomorrow night. We're going to talk about the turnaround, pull this sequence together. Game changer, y'all. Game changer. So share the video out. Come back and join me tomorrow night. I'm going to try and get on a little bit earlier tomorrow night. So, yeah. We'll talk to you then. In the meantime and in between time, guys, as always, thanks for joining. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for sharing the video. And most of all, thank you for living life on Mars. I'll talk to y'all later.